All right, welcome back everybody to the Collision Repair Refinish stage driven by ICAR and SERS here at SEMA 2025. Bob, we're going to talk a little bit about technician sustainability. For everybody that I haven't met yet, I am Bud Center, Director of Technical Products and Curriculum with ICAR, and Bob?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm Bob Hamilton from ProSpot International. I'm Chief Engineer there and work on now our new automation division, which is really more in the industrial space, not so much in the collision repair at this moment, but just want to talk a little about future possibilities of what that means to the industry.
So what are some of the things you guys are looking at with technician sustainability? What's new? What's exciting there?
Well, some things that are new is just the fact that we are really focused on accountability, traceability, data logging, and gathering information, and then making very repeatable processes. So that's been the way of ProSpot, since the inception. We created the auto weld for our spot welding equipment. We're just made things a lot easier where we have recipe files that are built to do the job and do it the same way every time. So going forward, we're looking at how can we make it even easier for the technician. How can we make it easier for the shop manager and the industry at large to make things more consistent and ergonomic and repeatable?
So when you think about modern vehicles, right, every vehicle on the road is getting more and more complex to repair. They're, along with all the electronics and the systems that are on there, in addition to that, you get into mixed materials and the things that the vehicles are built with and new joining techniques. So, I know you guys are getting to some unique technology on some of this, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, if you go back and even just look at the revolution that occurred when aluminum became so prevalent with the F-150 and the programs we put together with that, and then on with the high-strength steels and so on, we created a platform with our welders, for example, that is Wi-Fi upgradable. So as new recipe files come out, then we can react and be, have new information out there for you. Not just weld schedules, but training equipment, videos, documents like that can get pushed out on the Wi-Fi on our system, for example. So this is one example of trying to keep ahead of the curve and know that we have to future-proof things because there's new things coming out all the time in the industry.
Yeah. So, days gone by, you would have a technician that might have been a specialist that knew a little bit about, collision repair. They were a body tech or they were a finisher. And you look at some of the modern vehicles, or all of them really, the technology that's coming out now, they have to be more rounded. They need to have more information. They need to be better equipped to repair these modern vehicles. If we compare where we were, 20 years ago to where we are today, technicians just need to have more knowledge, more skill, more understanding, and be able to really dive into those repair procedures to understand how to repair these cars properly.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you've got mixed materials, you've got riveting, you've got adhesives, spot welding, MIG welding, gluing, all of these capabilities that we didn't have before, So now you're looking at having to know many different pieces of equipment and processes. And so the challenge is how do we keep that information in an accessible way and keep that training up to date. So those are some tools that we think we've built into some of the equipment. The industry needs to do even more, I think, to continue educating on the new processes and make sure everybody's trained up to be able to do, as you said, not just one thing, but multiple kinds of operations on different types of materials, and they have to do it right. If it's not done right, then people's lives are at stake. They get in a car that has to be put together correctly after a collision, and so we take it very seriously. The industry just has to keep up on this, and I think part of that is having the data available and the training monitored as well. So other things we're looking forward to is how do we continue that certification process? If you get a new piece of equipment or a new operator in, how do you onboard them? The onboarding process, things maybe in the software were on our equipment, for example, or other equipment, where you have to go through and show that you know how to use that before you get in and dive in on it.
So when an average consumer sees something about a vehicle being built at the factory, they see these crazy big robots that are, sparks flying all over the place, cars being designed. What type of technology are you guys looking at to help with some of this in the future to make it easier for technicians to repair these vehicles?
Right. So I would go back to looking at, for example, the auto weld, where we have our spot welder that when you pull the trigger, it brings the electrodes together, measures the thickness of that material, and in microseconds of time sends a little current through and makes it really a very strongly educated guess about what it should do. So we're making automation in there. We also have procedures and teaching that's built into the system, so you can go and look at that. Also having an easy user interface to get to the place you need to be to do a particular repair.
Yeah. So do you see a time in the future where some of your equipment might start to look like some of those robots you see on the floor at the manufacturer, and maybe helping the technicians a little bit that way, where it's a combination technician and robot doing the repair?
Yeah, I do see that. If you're here at SEMA and get a chance to go take a look at our booth, we've got some examples of future concepts on that. And what I mean by that is, and you can see kind of on this slide where we've got some robots. They're actually called a cobot. They're meant to work around with people. And so these are very exciting pieces of automation where they can be around a technician and it's safe to be around. If it bumps into you, it stops. They're easy to teach. So for example, a sanding polishing application, you can just teach 4 positions and it will figure out how to make a pattern around that to do that. The future is bringing a lot of things like AI capabilities where it's going to learn the part that you're working on. I know these are all they sound like sci-fi things, but the technology is moving so fast now that we really do see, and I see personally, this stuff making it into the body shop. Right now, it's very successful out in the industrial space, so building refrigerators or dishwashers and things like that. But I think with some massaging around and the new tools that are arriving, we may see it soon happening in a body shop near you.
Yeah. So have you started down that path at all? Are you guys looking at technology? When you think about, if we just leave it in the welding space, and you think about how these vehicles are repaired, and you have a manufacturer that'll say you must place this type of weld every X millimeters, do you think that the robots will be able to do that, or is that where we're looking for human guidance?
Yeah, I think it's always going to be a human and machine marriage together, right? I mean, you can't have it completely automated, and you wouldn't really want it to be because you have to have that judgment from the operator, and there's just certain things when you look at a car, you have to have that experience of knowing what to do. But the tools that are coming available, like you mentioned, let's say the procedure says it needs to have 30 welds in this particular thing. Well, the software could go in and you could start a data log. And right now today we have that capability where you start a work order and you do every weld, it logs every weld and keeps track of how many you did. So you do have a piece of traceability there. In the future, we definitely see where we could automate that, where the robot is actually moving to each of those locations that the operator taught. So you could do it with say a pendant or something like this. This is some concepts where you just go and touch the locations, and then you step back and let the robot do the hard work of lifting the spot welder up. You're not around the spot welder, and it does them all in exactly the location and spacing that it's supposed to be.
That's pretty interesting. So what other technologies you guys have coming out there? Is it just focused on welding at this point with ProSpot, or do you have other things in the rivet space or some of the others where it's going to come out and be robotic as well?
Yeah, so both spot welding and MIG welding, we have cobot solutions for those right now that are very nicely accepted in the industrial space, and I do believe they can make their way in. And now also sanding, polishing. So we have a wheel-up system that can wheel up to a car or any product, I suppose. You can teach a few points, push the button and let it go, and tell it how many cycles to do. So it actually monitors the force that it's pushing down with, and we'll give you a very repeatable result on that.
Okay, so that's one that I have more questions on. So if we're thinking about the sanding side of this, and I've had conversations with others that have gotten into this space. How does the equipment understand the contours and the shapes of the vehicle, and when you get to the edge of a panel, so that you're not, burning through and things like that? How does the robot know those kind of things?
Yeah, so the first thing is you can have a compliant head system, so it's applying the same force all along, and then it can level itself out. The robot can sense where the force is, and it can change the attitude that it's at. For example, another technology that we're working with, and is where it's called a mimic technology, and that in that case, what you could do is have a technician sand a system, do their work on it, and then that tracing that happens can be memorized by the robot. So then the robot can come in and do exactly the same thing that the technician did. So those are some future things that are happening.
That's interesting. That's, you hear about this, you hear about all the things that are coming and all the unique things out there, and if we can figure out how to make the repair process simpler, make it something that is more standardizable. You can make it something that's more consistent, and a lot of that's taking the human factor out of it. But you still need the human to tell the machine what to do, essentially.
Yeah, that's a key. Is you got to have a good technician to begin with, and then they're teaching the robot how to do this kind of thing. So that's a key element of it. Paint spraying is another thing. So again, with this mimic technology, you could have somebody spray paint something, and the robot can memorize those actions exactly. So you need to do it on the same vehicle again, but that's certainly technology that's there and available right now. Glue dispense is another thing where it's a very time-consuming and possibly error-prone thing, where if you don't put the right bead in the right spot, you could have a defect. So those are some things, other elements that we could add automation to.
So how do you think that changes the skill set that a technician is going to need to have in the future? I mean, are they going to need to be a little bit technician, a little bit IT support, a little bit programmer? What are the skills? What are they going to need to know to be able to use this stuff?
Yeah, I think it's always evolving, right? And that's where it's great that we have iCar to support training as new things come up. It's gonna be more like, and the younger kids coming up, they grew up on the Xbox, right? So they know how to use these things already to some degree. Our goal is to make it as transparent and easy to use for a technician. So what you do today, we want to try to mirror that experience when you're training something. So we try to make it as easy as possible. We started off with a very easy to use robotic platform, and we've added new capabilities and software to make it even easier.
Well, great. Well, Bob, thanks for joining us out here today. If people want to come visit you, do you have your booth number where they can come see you?
Yeah, we are in booth 32049. It's hard to miss, ProSpot booth. Come by and see us. We've got a man versus machine contest going on, so you can get up do some MIG welding on an iCar type sample while the robot does it. So we can compare the results and have a good time. It's a really fun thing, so I encourage you to stop by and check it out.
All right. Well, again, thanks, Bob. Thanks for joining us up here, and have a great day, everybody.
Appreciate it.